Tuning in to community updates right here on WJZZ Cool TV. And it is exciting tonight. We have two Tuskegee Airmen in the house. Tuskegee Airmen who flew planes, the Red Devils. You've seen the movie, you've heard some history. Well, they are here, right here in studio tonight. We have Major Bill Burnett and we have Gerald Reynolds, who you know from being here on the radio station, having it doing his own program. So we're so glad to have you all in the house this evening. We thank you for coming and being our guests. And for all the listeners, I understand we have over 10,000 plus listeners, and we thank you for tuning in. Please feel free to give us a call when you on tonight if you have any questions. You can call in at 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018. We are right here on WJZZ Cool TV. You can see us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter, and which one did I leave out? I said them all. Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, Instagram. I'm missing one. YouTube. So please tune in. We thank you for tuning in if you're here already. And we're going to get started. Well, I always tell you about different things happening with the Lions Club. I always ask you to bring your paper and pencil because this is community updates. And so what we do here is like to update you on things that are happening in the community. In the communities, not just here in the United States, but around the country. And we have had many people getting jobs from PDW Workforce. Still look at my Facebook page. You can contact PDW Workforce and Crescenda Mickles, who was one of our guests. There's so many great job opportunities that they are offering with that particular company. And with the Lions Club, we are going to have a donation giveaway on August the 27th. If you have items that you'd like to donate to people who are in need, people who are coming through transition for whatever reason. When we did it, this is our third annual huge giveaway of this magnitude. And there were so many people that have been burned out of their homes, people that are ex-offenders getting back into play and coming back into society, people that were former substance abusers getting their lives back in order, people that are have been battered and starting all over, or just lost their jobs and starting all over. People start all over for many different things. And what we're doing, we're not focusing on clothing. We really want furniture items. Last time we were able, right now I've got a lot of furniture. Bedroom sets, TVs, flat screens, people donating things, people moving, people have passed on, and they're donating the furniture to those in need. So we're going to have it. It's going to be on August the 27th of this year, and it will be at ACC, the Arab Community Chaldean Center on 7 Mile in John R. on August the 27th. We'll start at 10 o'clock a.m. and we will go until 3 o'clock p.m. If you have things that you'd like to donate or any organizations that you are affiliated with or a part of or know about that want to send people out, please give me a call at 248-238-4863. Again, that's 248-238-4863. And we would love to, we can get the donations. Just give me a call if you have donations or anybody who would like to, that is in need of some things. So let's get started. We've got Tuskegee Airmen in the house tonight, and want to ask you some questions, Major Bill Barnett. Did you fly too?
Yes. Let me make one correction, Michelle, because at your beginning,
she calls the Red Devils.
Red Devils.
I said you've seen the movie, The Red.
That wasn't even the Red Devils.
That wasn't the
Red
Tails.
Red
Tails.
And
I apologize.
Gerald and I are
and I
neither.
just looked at it. The
right.
Red Tails.
Gerald and I are neither original Tuskegee Airmen.
Mm-hmm.
The originals are, most guys are in their late 90s or 100.
Right.
And we just had a burial and funeral for one gentleman who just turned 100. So these are the originals. We're the next generation.
Wonderful.
And I'll be 76 August 22nd.
Well, you're looking good for 76,
And
sir.
thank God for that. But I
Yes.
just wanted to make that correction.
Yes. Well, thank you
I
for
did
that.
not fly as an original Tuskegee Airman, nor am I an original.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Now-
you all are Tuskegee Airmen. and
Yes, we are.
And we are elated to have you in the house tonight.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about who are the Tuskegee Airmen.
Again, I want to thank you for having us here. The Tuskegee Airmen refers to all of those who participated, involved in the so-called Tuskegee Experience. And the Tuskegee Experience is getting those gentlemen who wanted to learn to fly for this country during the war. They entered a training program through the Army Air Corps.
And was this World War One or two?
World War II. And once they completed their training, then they were called the Tuskegee Airmen. That's who we are. That's who they were. They're the pioneers who paved the way for us, Gerald and I. And so now we got to carry on the legacy.
And can I just add to what you were saying, Bill? It's important that people understand that there's a difference. It wasn't the Tuskegee Experiment.
Experience.
It was the experience, because there were two separate things.
Right.
And sometimes people get the two confused.
Now, what was the Tuskegee Experiment?
The Tuskegee Experiment is when the
Giving the
government
medical,
were injecting syphilis
right,
into African American
I remember
men
that.
for a so-called study. That was the experiment.
It was experiments.
The experience is when they were experiencing whether black men could literally fly combat aircraft. That's the difference.
Well, tell us more about who the Tuskegee Airmen are, and did you want to tell us anything more about that?
Well, yes, we can. The Tuskegee Airmen, let me just tell you how we got our start. Let's do that.
Okay.
During the onset of the war, men were coming from all over the country with an attempt to enter the military training program, which was the Army Air Corps, to learn to fly combat aircraft. The military, the Army Air Corps, set out a study all over the United States to see if any city in the United States wanted to start a combat training program to fly aircraft in any city in the United States. Nobody wanted it because it was black.
Okay.
The pressure from black press, print media, news organizations, and Tuskegee Institute, who was at that time the president, the founder of Tuskegee Institute, was Booker T. Washington, where at the age of 26, he was the founder
Booker T.
of
Washington.
and he was a former slave. At the age of 26, he founded Booker T. Washington. So with that pressure that was put on the cities to start the program, Booker T. Washington saw that Tuskegee Institute was geographically located right near Montgomery, which is the state capital in Alabama. Also, Fort Rucker, who was a military training, pilot training program. So he saw that this was a great location and a great time to get the program started. But nobody wanted to do it. Nobody in President Roosevelt's cabinet wanted black pilots flying combat aircraft for this country. So what happened? Eleanor Roosevelt, who was his wife, the first lady, got on an aircraft with her detail, her security detail, and they went down to Tuskegee just to see if it was true that black men could not or could fly combat aircraft. So she got down there and she saw these men, this big dusty airfield with dirt runways, no concrete, dirt runways, planes taking off landing. She met this guy named Charles Anderson, who was the chief pilot instructor. Introduced herself to him and her security detail, and she said, "Can these men fly these airplanes?" He said, "Sure." "Would you like to take me up for a test flight?" He said, "You want to go up with a, I can't use the word. You want to go up, ma'am?"
With the
She
person of
said,
color.
"Yes." She said, "Sure." She hopped on the airplane, P-51, which was a modern aircraft that they were using at that time, only for the black training pilots. She got in the aircraft, and they took off. The photo that she took that was taken of her, she was smiling. Normally, if you go up with testing with a pilot, they're talking about 15, 20 minutes. They're going to take off, circle the air runway, and land. She stayed up about 45 minutes. She was talking with the
Eleanor
pilot.
Roosevelt was a daredevil.
She was not on a daredevil, but she
was a
was
pioneer.
the person that actually, to be honest with you, helped the Tuskegee Airmen get their start.
Yes.
And they talked and they talked and they talked. Finally, they landed. One of the chief men on her security detail went running back, got on the phone. You can imagine the language he used. Talked to the president and said, "Mr. President, your wife done lost her damn mind. She's down here flying with a N-word." And he said, and I quote these exact words, "You know Eleanor. You know when she makes up her mind to do something,
She's going to do it."
she's going to do it." And so with that being said was the beginning of the Tuskegee Airmen training
Wonderful.
because of Eleanor Roosevelt. And might I add, she had a good friend who was there with her by the name of Mary McLeod Bethune. Mary McLeod Bethune was the co-founder of Bethune-Cookman College. They were very good friends. And we have to give Mrs. Bethune her credit, because it had not been with she there with the First Lady, we wouldn't have been flying aircraft.
Wow.
So that's how the Tuskegee Airmen got their start.
We are getting a history lesson this evening.
Oh, baby, believe me.
And we're just getting started.
Yeah, it would take an hour for me just to get cranked up. And I know once Gerald get going, it's
I'm on my best behavior. Because yet I'm still learning a lot of the history
Yeah.
of the Tuskegee Airmen. Although I do understand and know, I'm from a military family as well. I'm
Yes.
also a pilot,
Yes.
but of course, like Bill said, not an original Tuskegee Airman. But we are the continuing legacy of what we think Tuskegee Airmen stands for, and we want to bring the awareness to the people that are interested in being more enlightened on what this history lesson entails and is all about. And nowadays, especially with the young people, because so many things that they do that people look at as useless is the wave of where we're going. And so we're going to talk about some of that, I believe, later on today also.
And I just want to say, well, two things. One, we got Booker T. Washington, who started Tuskegee Institute, and then Eleanor Roosevelt, along with Mary McLeod Bethune, worked to help the training program get started.
Not only that, but we have to thank the black press, black media. There were so many organizations who were instrumental in helping the Tuskegee Airmen get their start. Quite a few.
That's wonderful. You all are hearing it right here on WJZZ Cool TV. Community updates. We are getting a lesson in history. If you have some questions, comments, if you know someone, go and tell the young people. Call your friend, call a neighbor, let your grandchildren know. We're talking about history right here on Community Updates. The history of Booker T. Washington, history of Mary McLeod Bethune, history of Eleanor Roosevelt, history of the Tuskegee Airmen. Give us a call right here at the station at 313-355-6018. And tune in if you aren't tuned in. If somebody said they don't know how to tune in, you can catch us on Facebook, on YouTube, Instagram, Twitch, and Twitter. But you can really see us live on YouTube and Facebook. So tune in right now. WJZZ Cool TV Community Updates. That's all what you would type in on YouTube and on Facebook. So 313-355-6018 is the number to give us a call or type in some comments on YouTube and we can see them on the screen. Any questions you might have for Major Bill or Gerald Reynolds, the two Tuskegee Airmen that are here this evening. And again, thank you, gentlemen. So, Major Bill, how did the first black pilots, well, you told us how they got started.
That was part of it.
Part of it.
Yeah.
Is there more?
Oh, yes. First of all, the president's cabinet, many of whom, actually all of whom, did not want African American, which were black men, flying combat for the United States. So they set out and did a search all over the United States, as I said. No city wanted black pilots in their city. No city in the United States. So they settled on Tuskegee. Now, Tuskegee became the training ground for Tuskegee Airmen. Be it that it was a black training base, they attracted black men into the program, and the only whites that were involved were instructors, meteorologists, commanders, etc., and etc. Because at that time, there were only 5 black officers in the entire Army Air Corps.
Really?
5.
5.
Yes.
And where did they get these black men from?
3 of which were chaplains. One was Bill Davis Jr. One was Bill Davis Sr., which was his father.
And they were chaplains?
The other 3 were chaplains.
Pilots.
Well, no, they were the only 3 of the 5 that were officers in the military.
Okay, they
not
were
that they
officers.
wanted to be pilots. Okay,
But they
the
were
2
selected.
that became initial pilots were Bill Davis Sr. and Bill Davis Jr.
Okay.
He and his son.
Okay.
Bill Davis Jr. was a student at West Point. There was so much racism, they would not associate with him. He stayed at West Point the entire time that he was there, had no friends that would communicate with him, talk with him. He stayed in his room to himself the entire time. But guess what? He graduated in the top tier of his class. So naturally, since his father was the commander, a 4-star general, he's going to make sure that he helped his son become a commander at Tuskegee, which he did, become a commander at Tuskegee. The war is going on. What do? How do we get our involvement? They didn't want to send the Tuskegee Airmen anywhere to fight for this country. So what they do, They sent them up on the northern border, northern Sicily, Italy, North Africa. These are places where actually nobody would know that any Tuskegee Airmen were there, that they existed, because they were way out in the wilderness alone by themselves. So they sent them in a remote area. How they got their start? One day on a mission, the pilots, and I'm not going to categorize black pilots, white pilots. I'm going to say Tuskegee Airmen and the other pilots, okay? The other pilots were leaving a mission where they had lost many of the B-17, B-24 bombers. They were getting shot down out of the air like flies.
Wow.
So they were running from the enemy. The enemy was chasing these guys, and all of a sudden, in North Africa, Sicily, on the Mediterranean border, they looked down, and what did they see? They see these aircraft down there, and how they identified them was the stars and stripes on the side of the plane. And they said, these are our boys. So they felt safe enough to make an emergency landing. Upon landing, oops, there's no white guys out here. Nothing but black people. Where did you all come from? Like we were made somewhere out in the jungle. They said, we came from the United States. Are you pilots? Sure. Wait a minute. We didn't know that we had black pilots. Well, you do.
How long had they been sitting there
A
in the
long
northern
time.
territory?
That's information that they kept secret. So now it's a different story. You guys are out here. They wouldn't let us or anyone else know that we had black pilots to assist us. So the commander said, can you guys fly escort for our bombers? Because on many missions, we were losing 15, 20, 30 bombers at a time. They were losing fighter pilots like you won't believe. Can you guys fly escort? B.O. Davis Jr. said, sure. But we're not going to fly that crap that you gave us. For every 6 aircraft, the mechanics had to take the pieces, the parts, from every 6 aircraft and make one flyable.
Our African American
Mechanics. Out of every 6 aircraft that were shot down, they had to make one flyable.
Those planes they must have given them had to be really crappy to take 6 to make one.
Okay. So B.O. Davis Jr. said, we're not going to fly that. We need the same thing that you have. We want the same thing. So he came back to Washington and talked to the president and said, Mr. President, we have been requested.
Roosevelt was still president?
Yeah. We have been requested to fly escorts for the bombers. We can't fly escorts with this crap you all gave us. We need the same airplanes that you're giving the white pilots. We need the same thing. So somehow, I don't know how he made it happen, but he got some better flying, more maneuverable, faster airplanes to allow the Tuskegee Airmen to fly. While the pilots were on the remote base, they decided, there were 3 units, they decided the white guys were going to paint their nose and their tails blue, Others were painting theirs yellow checkerboard, yellow and black checkerboard. Tuskegee Airmen said we want red.
Red tails.
We want, you know what red stands for? Blood.
Blood.
We want
Blood.
red.
They were ready
And
to
so
fight.
we were the ones that painted our tails and nose cones red. That's where the words red tails come from. Tuskegee Airmen. So when they started flying escort with the bombers, while they were flying escorts, they were shooting down Germans going and coming. Now, we lost some fighter pilots. Matter of fact, one of our most notoriable pilots, Lieutenant Colonel Alexander Jefferson and Richard Macon. Colonel Jefferson was shot down on his first mission. We just had his funeral 3 weeks ago. He was 100 years old.
Wow. Shot down
On his first
on his
mission.
first mission, but
in
lived to
com-
be 100 years old.
lived to be 100.
That's awesome.
Richard Macon, who we named our chapter after, Captain Richard Macon. We named it after Macon Thomas, Colonel Donald Thomas, Lieutenant Colonel Donald Thomas. So we named it Macon Thomas, hyphen Thomas.
Okay.
Lieutenant Donald Thomas was a big guy, too big to fit in the P-51, so he became a commercial pilot after the war. At any rate, we were shooting, and when I say we, not me, our pilots were shooting down so many enemy aircraft, they would fly back to their base and tell their commanders, I don't know who these guys are.
But they're awesome.
They got to, if you encounter these guys with the red tails and the red nose cone, leave, go. And guess what, sir? What? They're black.
They were astonished.
How in the world did black pilots get out here fighting this war when they were not allowed to fly in America? Well, they are. And if you don't believe it, sir, ask the other combat pilots, and they agree, they concur. Yes, they are black. And we are not ready, even though the aircraft that we use in some cases are a little bit more maneuverable than theirs. They are more trained. They are tougher than we are. And they're shooting down our planes out of the sky like flies. So, sir, we got to do a better job than what we're doing. These guys are
So
not
did
to
they
be
eventually
played.
let some of our guys do some training?
Oh yeah, they end up. That's how they was able to fight in the war. They had no choice after they came home. I mean, the white pilots were running from the enemy, and they saw these planes on the Mediterranean border and northern Africa, Sicily, Italy. They saw them down there. They had no choice but to allow them to fly combat, fly escort for them. That's how the guys really made their name to become top pilots in the military, because they were just that good. Okay? So that's how we got the start.
Okay. I know my father was in the Army and wanted to fly as a pilot, and they wouldn't allow him to. He hated the Army. He ain't really even talk about the Army.
Well,
He threw away his pictures of being in the Army.
well, see, you got to understand. A lot of people don't understand it. The first, it was called the Army Air Corps before it became Air Force. So it was not just the Army that had the selection process. It was the War Department who set down the perimeters of who would be chosen and who would not.
Well, he said that they were telling them that, you're black, you can't fly.
Well, they did. They told them that, But out of 2,200 that applied, only 990 were selected. Now that's a big difference.
That's a big difference.
Big difference. Again, you're up against the military, the War Department, the President's cabinet, the people who made decisions of who's going to fight for this country and who not. So what could the men do? They were lucky that they started a training program, but in addition to that, what could they do? They couldn't tell the government, you are going to do this, when they themselves were lucky to be in the program. You see what I mean? Yeah.
So Tuskegee was chosen as a place for black pilots because it was already a black college, and
it was remotely, geographically
from the
located.
Tuskegee
It was a
Institute.
great place to have a pilot training program because just down the road a piece was Fort Rucker.
Okay.
That's in Montgomery, and that training program is where they trained the white pilots.
Okay.
So all of that being in geographically in the same area,
So it was down the road from Tuskegee Institute, which
Tuskegee Institute was down the
Booker T.
road from
Washington
Fort
started,
Rucker.
and Fort Rucker was down the
Right,
road.
right.
Gotcha.
Uh-huh.
So it was easier to just grab some black educated people.
No, you didn't grab them. You didn't grab
Well, they
some
had
black.
to select them.
They applied. Now here's the kicker. In order to be selected, they didn't make it easy. In order to be selected as a pilot, you had to have a 4-year college degree.
So they had to be graduates of Tuskegee Institute.
Not Tuskegee. Any
University.
university.
4-year university.
Okay.
You could not be married. Now wait a minute. Wait. You're telling me I have to have a 4-year degree in order to learn to fly competition with these white guys? You're telling me I cannot be married, but they can? You're telling me that? But the guys endured. They said with a challenge like what the government put on them, we're going to show them that we're going to make it.
So the white guys could be married,
The white guys could do anything they
and they
wanted
didn't have to
do.
have a 4-year degree.
Which means if any one of them got shot down, their families would be covered. Whereas a black man,
they didn't
No-
want to
no
cover
way.
your
Oh,
family.
right.
So
Well, you're not a human. You're not considered a human being if you're black. They were telling. Now listen to this. Many of them were telling the president, black men have something in their brain that would not allow them to take the sharp dives, the steep climbs, the speed that the aircraft would
that's what
fly.
they would tell them to prevent even the idea
Right.
of any black fighter pilots.
Right.
We can't handle
they
it.
weren't capable.
Our brains couldn't handle it.
Our brains couldn't
Wow.
handle it.
Basically,
But our brains saved the military when we were flying escort. When they were losing, do you know what it cost to build a B-17, a B-24 bomber? A bomber is the one that carried the heavy payload. The fighters are the ones that maneuverable that flew alongside the bombers to protect the bombers. Those bombers, big boys, cost a lot of money. And as fast as they were building them right here in Michigan, you ever heard of the Riveters? These women were building
Rosie the Riveter?
Rosie the Riveters. They were building the B-17, the B-24s. They were, as fast as they could build them, they were getting shot down out of the air. So they had to have somebody come along to save their behinds.
And that was us.
And here come the red tails.
Red tails.
Here come the boys.
That's right.
All right. So, with that being said, we never said no. With the challenge that they gave us, the men wanted to prove that as an African American man, I could do anything you do. And in some cases, I could do it better. There you
Wonderful. I love the history.
go. Oh, yeah.
And so I want to hear about the Macon Thomas chapter. You said it got its start from Richard. Well, you got the name from Richard Macon and Donald Thomas,
Thomas, right.
Lieutenant Donald Thomas.
Lieutenant Colonel.
Lieutenant
Donald Thomas.
Colonel Donald Thomas.
Right, and Captain Richard Macon at that point was a lieutenant, but when he got out, he was a captain.
Okay.
Right. Now, how did we get the name? When I first got in the organization, we used to meet at historic Fort Wayne. Back
I've gone there
then,
for meetings. You
our
guys did
meetings
some
at the
things.
headquarters building at Fort Wayne.
I took a group of youth to historic Fort Wayne for something that the Tuskegee Airmen were doing. And
We
it
had
was
a
right around
museum
the
there.
time you had the museum.
Right.
And then they did these reenactments of
Right.
war.
Yeah.
And it was right around the time the Red Tails movie was coming, because then I went to that, was at the Renaissance.
That was the first one.
Yes, the first one.
With Cooper Gooding Jr.
Yes.
and what's his name? The black actor. I forgot his name. It'll come to me. But anyway, we used to meet there at the headquarters building. Our president at that time was Mr. Moulton Ross, one of the best presidents we've ever had in the organization. Great guy.
And this
Great
is for
human
the Mason
being.
Thomas chapter.
No, that was the Tuskegee Airmen. That back then it was the Detroit chapter.
The Detroit chapter.
Right.
Tuskegee Airmen Detroit chapter.
Right.
Okay.
That was under the direction of Moulton Ross. Moulton died. Lieutenant Colonel at that time, Captain Richard Macon, took over as president after Moulton Ross died.
Okay.
So he became the president. And he was a great guy. Matter of fact, his wife, who's the matriarch of our chapter, she is still in our chapter today, and Mrs. Macon, I think, will turn 90, 91 pretty soon.
Okay.
We love her to death because she just do so much for us, and she's like our mother to all of us.
You all have a good website too. I saw, was perusing the website, and it had the videos on the history of the Tuskegee Airmen. And matter of fact, I put the website on the flyer,
Okay.
and so it's posted. But I forgot what was the website name? It was Tuskegee
TuskegeeAirmen.org.
TuskegeeAirmen.org. Yes.
Yeah. Now, that's the original Tuskegee Airmen website. We also have a Macon Thomas chapter website, and that's TAI Macon, MACON, Thomas.com. That's our chapter website.
So again, for those who are listening, that was TAIMACON and you can peruse it and see more. And they give great. They have some video on the flying where you can see Tuskegee Airmen flying and so forth. And then also this TuskegeeAirmen.org. And then you've got a lot of YouTube videos
we
of
do.
different things that you've been doing.
We started out with a training program to teach kids to fly up at Oakland Troy Airport.
Okay.
One of the pictures that you saw in there with the kids at the airport, we were taking them up for flights. And naturally, it costs lots of money to train kids. And you have to be, by FAA rules and regulations, you have to be a certain age. So we take them up for complimentary flights just to see if this is something that they were cut out for, if they wanted to do that. Most of them
Didn't.
No, most of them did.
Oh, good. I
They
have a niece,
loved
a cousin that flies, and
Right.
she got
They
her. I
loved
think
it.
she had to be maybe at least 18, but she started young.
Right, right. Now I'm gonna jump ahead here a little bit because we got to make some moves.
With-
You see
with
this
the camp?
patch,
Okay.
Space Camp?
Space camp.
A few years back, we took a group of kids to Space Camp, and it's a week program. And while we were there, they had a competition to this patch. The kids were going to draw a new patch that the astronauts were going to wear on their uniform.
Where was space camp being held?
That was at Huntsville, Alabama.
Okay.
Okay? So the kids, there were about 180 kids from China, 133, I think, from Argentina, and hundreds from over the United States, including Detroit and our kids, mixed in with other kids from around the world. It was a week training program. And they decided they were going to allow the kids to design the new patch that the
nice.
astronauts were going to wear on their uniforms. So our kids, being that they were all mixed in together with other races, were part of those kids who drew the new patches.
Nice
They
job.
gave us these patches. These were the old patches
Okay.
that the astronauts wore on their uniform. The new astronauts now are wearing the new patches.
So do you all still do any training camps? And then I'm going to let that segue into Gerald telling us about the drone training
Right.
before we have to get out of here.
Yeah.
Because I want to, people have been asking me, Gerald was on before telling us about the drone training.
Right.
And I got so many calls. I hope I gave them all your number.
Cool.
People,
I'll give it to him again.
Okay. Because, so well, let me ask, do you all do any other training camps for
my
youth
God.
or any other
We've
things
got-
for youth?
We've got so many training camps now.
So how can our listeners and viewers find out about that? Go to the website?
Well, we got to update the website
Okay.
because we now have so many new programs.
Because we have listeners from all around the country.
Right. We would like to get more kids involved, and we're limited because COVID,
Right. So things are just getting
gave us a
started
big
going
scare.
again. Right.
and we couldn't do so many things because kids are in school during the.
How do they get in touch with?
Let me
if they
give you
wanna
my number.
Okay.
Area code 248-470-7585.
Now I didn't put your number on the flyer. I said I don't want this man to be inundated with calls.
She
but
put
I
mine
will.
out there like
But I
I'm a
put yours
trooper.
out
She said,
there.
I'm gonna throw G under the bus
Because I
though.
didn't want people calling me
No,
about the
that's
drone
okay.
training. I called Gerald Reynolds.
Well, that's that.
But
Listen,
okay, I'm gonna put your number on my Facebook page now.
we love it. We would love that because that's how we get the message out.
Okay.
And not only that, we are trying to build a new museum and a banquet facility and a drone training facility. So if anybody has some long bucks hidden in a closet somewhere
They wanna
and would
make
like to
some
make a
donations.
donation, give me a call.
And again,
And
his
we-
number is 248-470-7585. Now, that's if you want training for you, your youth, your grandchildren, and want to maybe see if they're interested in
Right.
pilot training, as well as if you want to make some donations.
Right.
Do you? You'll let them know if there's a Cash App or something, how
Yes,
they can make
yes,
donations
yes.
electronically.
We love it, and every dime that we collect, we don't get paid.
It's tax
one penny.
deductible?
It's tax deductible, and in addition to that, we do not get paid for what we do. Our services are free, tax exempt. Okay, so we've got so many different programs, and again,
That's
I gotta
wonderful.
yield to Gerald. But we'd be glad to let them know we We have a golf training program. We teach kids to play golf.
That's wonderful.
We swim. We teach them swim. We've got, for young ladies, we've got a debutante training coming up next year. Brenda Wilson, Jackie Wilson's daughter. She's gonna do youth singing lessons, voice lessons, and different things like that. So we got quite a bit that we're gonna teach the kids to do.
Okay.
And again, I'll yield to Gerald, but those are just few of the things.
Just a few of the things.
Few.
So that's wonderful. So the Tuskegee Airmen, or is this your chapter that's doing this?
The Tuskegee Airmen, we have programs. We have
Programs around the country.
51 chapters throughout the United States, including Alaska and Hawaii. Okay? We give away, in the last few years, we gave away over 40 scholarships nationwide. We also, the chapter, give away book scholarships for kids who need money to buy books. We only can give away so many of those, but we give book scholarships away. So there's a lot that we
these
do.
are things too that get our youth involved. Children need to be involved in different programs, community things that are going to teach them some skills. And these things are good on their resume, even if they might start out taking some swimming training from you all or some drone training. It can culminate into something else as they're building their resume, and who knows what they might end up doing with that, and it helps them get scholarships.
Not just the kids, but the parents as well, because you got a lot of parents that they want to see their kids doing things that keep them active in the community, but then they realize what's happening. And they go, "Oh wow,
I could take that too."
Yeah. So there are a lot of activities that we would love for them to be involved in.
Well, tell us about this drone training.
Well,
and again, you could call in. I'm sorry, let me do a station identification. We're listening. You're listening right here on WJZZ Cool TV. Community Updates is the name of this program, and you can catch us on Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, and Facebook, and you can call us at 313-355-6018. Again, that's 313-355-6018. Right here, Community Updates, and we've got Major Bill Burnett and Gerald Reynolds, both Tuskegee Airmen, a part of the Macon Thomas chapter. Right here in Michigan, and they are Gerald is getting ready to tell us about the drone training.
Yeah. So we were doing drone training on Saturdays. In fact, we were doing it here at the location, at the station in the field.
Oh,
in the
okay.
field.
But of course, and we had a great turnout. It was always productive. We had a lot of people come out and support us. But because things changed up a little bit, FAA has changed some of the regulations and rules.
COVID.
Yeah, we've been going through a big change in the whole climate, but it still exists, and we're still interested in recruiting and sharing the information with the people that are.
So people can get themselves on the drone training list, get their youth on the drone training list, men and women. Does it start at a certain age? 10 years old. You heard it here. 10 years old. Free. It's free, right?
Absolutely.
It's free.
And
drone training.
And we have affiliates that also provide drone sales. So if they don't have a drone, we have drones. If they come out, we have drones that they can get used to flying. They know how they feel. But eventually that gets old. There's nothing like getting your own
Your
yard.
drones are bigger than some of the little ones.
Some of them are the same size.
I bought a little drone, and it was not cheap.
Oh, no. They are expensive.
And it broke. My grandson didn't even get to really, and it was about $100. And that was cheap, apparently. That wasn't cheap to me.
Well, we have, Gerald, let me just say
Go
this.
ahead.
We have one of our chapter members who own a store that sells model airplanes and drones. And they will give anybody who's a student, their child, a member of the chapter, they'll give them a big discount. Matter of fact, I own my own drone, and I bought mine at that time. It was a big one. Okay. It was about a $200 drone. I got it for $129.
I wish I had.
But you can also get them. Home Depot was selling them at one time for $29. J.C. Penney was selling them for
Yeah,
$29.
but those small ones, I
No,
don't know, it just
no,
didn't work well.
the ones that
Do
they
they
were
have drone
selling,
training in Texas?
they
Well,
have drone
They
training
have
all
chapter
over.
in
Yeah,
Texas?
there are 51 chapters throughout the United States, including Hawaii and Alaska.
Right.
And people don't understand how important the drone training is going to be. Is currently
Because it's not just toys.
It's not
They're
toys
being
at all.
used
no
in the
toy no more.
military
It is
and
not toys.
everything.
That's right.
Matter of fact, FAA has taken the toy part out
Okay.
because of regulations, people flying drones, interfering in airspace. It's no longer a toy.
So,
It's a future
Gerald,
business.
how can they reach you? Please
So
give your number.
if they want to get in touch with me and learn more about the drone training or Tuskegee Airmen becoming a member or coming out to some of our chapter members, our meeting, they can reach me at area code 586-883-0559. That's 586-883-0559, or they can email me at the number one getworknow GETWORKNOW @gmail.com. Be happy to share any additional information with them or invite them out for a drone training session. If you don't do anything but come and look and see what it entails, and so we want to definitely encourage the kids to get involved. Education is important. We have a lot of, like Bill said, scholarship funds. We give away scholarships and we want them actively involved. There's no such thing as I'm at the house board, I'm running the street. We'll wrap our arms up because we've got a lot of youth in our chapter as well that I think they would be excited to see, and we got them coming month after month.
Matter of fact, we are broken up in 3 regions: the Western region, Central region, Eastern region. Macon Thomas chapter is now the largest region in the largest chapter in the Central region.
Okay.
We're the largest. We got over 100 members.
Right here in Michigan is the largest chapter of Tuskegee Airmen, over 100 members.
Over
So
100
if you would like to be a member, if you know someone else that would like to possibly be a member, then give these guys a call. Get in touch with them.
Now, there is a fee to join.
Okay.
The activities are free, but if you are a child and you want to join the organization, it's cheap, $30 a year
Oh, wow.
membership. Parents can pay that for their kids.
Yes.
The parents, if you're over 18 and over, the fee to join then as an adult is $100. Okay,
A year.
a year. The first year to join is
What
$100.
about any senior fees? Or just $100?
No, it's 100.
I came in under the senior discount too. Mine was $100. They didn't give me no discount. I'm as senior as it get now.
But also, after the first year, when you initially join, you pay the $100 application joining fee. After that, it drops down to only $85 a year
Okay.
to maintain your membership. The kids never change. It's $30 to join, and it's $30 a year. There's the only time it goes up is when they go over 18. They turn 19, then it goes up.
And of course, keep in mind that's to support a lot of the other activities that we have going on. We have, event centers and things that we have to do logistically to make sure that all of our meetings happen, in an orderly manner.
You're
So
right.
before we get out of here, tell me, what are some of the things people use drones for now?
Oh my God! Let me just show you.
Surveillance. The farmers now actually maintain their crops with drones.
Not only that,
They spread the water or whatever they're putting out?
They look and see what the production of their fields are like. Meteorologists, a lot of meteorologists are out there studying the environment, the water movement, atmospheric pressure, and these things do so many amazing things. It's just not the big spy thing. People say, well, they're spying. Well, they're spying. You go on YouTube, everybody's spying.
Your phone is a spy.
But the drones are very important. They're the wave of the future. Pilots, I believe you got, Uber Eats and Uber Freight now?
Yeah.
But pretty soon, I wouldn't be surprised you're going to have Uber Airline. And that's going to be a drone-based program.
let me just share this real quick. So, my wife and I was at dinner one day in Nova. I met this guy. He had his shirt on with a drone on it, and we got to talking. And I introduced myself to him, and he said, "Oh, you guys, you all are the pioneers in pilot training. You need to really be doing drone training." He said, "Let me tell you what I'm doing." He quit his job at the plant. Quit. His daddy was working at the plant. He quit. His mother was a school teacher. Quit. What he was doing is he took the drone training. They started hiring him to do police action. Companies